Welcome to another episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. This is the podcast where we dig deep into businesses as we're always trying to uncover hidden profit leaks. We're always looking for ideas and suggestions and ways that we can put more profit, more cash back into your pocket because that's what it's all about. It's all about how much you get to take home out of your business, not necessarily that top line revenue because top line revenue can be very deceiving. So I'm hoping that you are buckled up, ready for another amazing episode as we bring on George Swetlitz, if I said that right. He is the owner and the CEO of Right Response AI. They're a reputation management company. And when I went out and checked on their website, I said a big wow. Where has this been all these years? So, with that, George, welcome. Thanks for coming on the program today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, because I know that reviews and reputation management, that stuff is so important in the home services industry. It can make or break a company. And the fact that you've got this amazing program, first, let's just back up and tell the listeners what you have, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So we have a reputation or review management platform that's I like to tell people we're not in the review management business, we're in the revenue growth business,
Yes. And
right?
I
Now
like
you
that you
talked
put
about
that,
profits,
that spin
right? You
on it.
talk about
Yes.
profits,
Hmm.
but we really focus on, you know, how do you take advantage of every revenue opportunity in front of you, right? There's a lot of leakage, right? In when you bring people to your Google business profile or on maps or whatever it is, and they choose someone else. And so we're all about how do you get people to choose you? That's what we're all about. And so this is this is a lived experience for me. So I have a software company now, but I used to be the CEO of a consolidation of hearing aid clinics. And we grew that business to 220 clinics. And these issues, now we had 220 clinics, but every clinic is its own little business. It's its own business in its own town with its own customers and its own reputation. And that business lives or dies on its own. And when you have 220 of those, it's pretty complicated. And
I was
so
just thinking the
yeah,
logistics nightmare behind all that.
yeah, yeah. And so you can spend a lot of money on ads, or you can try to make sure that when people get to you, they buy from you. And that's a lot more cost effective than throwing money at ads. I'm not saying that advertising isn't important. It is,
Right, it is. It
but
has its place. Hmm.
you want to make sure that when you spend that money on advertising, you're converting them to you and not somebody else. One of the things that we learned in our business was that sometimes we would advertise for one of our locations, and the conversion rate of that advertising was very low. So essentially, we were bringing people to do research and pick somebody else. And you don't want to do
That's
that,
that's
right?
sad.
It is very sad. It's very expensive.
Very expensive. Yes, huge profit leak.
Yeah, that's right. So, and that's what Right Response is all about. It's trying to help people leverage the reputation, cycle to drive revenue inexpensively. That's what reputation management really should be all about.
Yes, it should. Yes. And how does your program work? Because when I looked at it, I thought, well, that's different from it. So most of the other ones that I've looked at for my own business.
Right. Well, so there's a couple of different elements to reputation management, review management. One is getting reviews. You got to get reviews. Really, really important to get reviews because reviews drives your rankings, right? In Google Maps. So I always say to people, reviews are for rankings, responses are for conversion Two different things.
I like that. Say that
Right?
again in case anybody missed that one.
Yeah. So reviews are for rankings and responses are for conversion. So let's kind of unpack that.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So reviews matter in two ways: volume and rating, right? So the more reviews you get, the more Google thinks, hey, these guys are popular. How else do they know if you're popular?
Right.
Right? They're not,
Yeah.
walking, watching you walk around, especially in home services. It's not a restaurant. You don't go to like, you don't go to Google and there's a little, how Google has those things more busy than usual. They don't know
Right.
that
Yeah.
for a
No,
pest
they don't.
control business, right? They don't know
Nope.
that.
Nope.
So reviews tells them whether you're popular. So you need a lot of reviews. And of course, you need good ratings. Can't have bad ratings. Now, in every area, there's a different competitive environment. A 4.7 might be terrible in one area, might be great in another. So you have to know who your competitors are and
Okay.
where they are. The other thing that matters is recency. So all you see when you go to Google is that all-time rating is 4.6. So you might look at you and you say, I'm a 4.6, and you go to your competitor and they're a 4.6, and you're like, we're the same. Might be
No.
true, might not be true. Because in
Okay.
the last 6 months, your rating might be 4.4 over the last 6 months, and theirs might
Oh,
be 4.9 over the last 6 months.
I had no idea that
Yeah,
recency was that important. Wow.
yeah. I mean, Google doesn't care that you were a great company 7 years ago, right?
Okay.
They don't care. They care, are you a great company now?
Okay.
Well, that's really hard to figure out, right? Because if you were trying to figure that out, you'd have to go in, you'd have to like look at the stars, look at the date, write it all down, calculate it.
Who's
We
got
do that,
time?
right?
Nobody's
We
got
do
time.
that, right? We do
Okay.
that. We automatically do that. We download them all and we calculate the ratings over the last 2 months, over the last 6 months, all time. You can see how you compare to your competitors.
Wow.
So the first thing you have to do is you have to get a lot of reviews, a lot of great reviews, so that you're higher in the rankings and people see you when they Google pest control near me, window replacement, whatever it is, right? You got
Mm-hmm.
to show up on the map. Showing up on the map is one thing, converting them is something completely different, right? So imagine you have a 4.9, a lot of great reviews, and you don't respond to reviews. You don't respond. You don't say anything. Or you have a system that provides these generic AI reviews. You know what I'm talking about? It says,
Uh-huh.
oh,
Yep.
the window was really installed. Great. And the response is, we're glad the window was installed. Great. Right? Because it's
Boring.
right. It's generic. It doesn't contribute. It's fake. People are kind of rebelling against those kinds of things, right? Because it kind of, the image of AI and
Yeah.
you go on social media, you don't know whether things are true or false. So you're confronted with AI
Mhm.
everywhere. And
Everywhere.
then you're trying to make a decision. Who am I going to trust with my window replacement? And you get these kind of stupid responses, and you're like, ah. So imagine you have a 4.9 or 4.8, but you don't say anything, or you have generic AI reviews. And there's someone else next on the list that's a 4.7, but they actually write the responses themselves. And they're personal and they're helpful and they're interesting. Who are you going to choose?
Oh, the second person. Right. I never
That's
even
right,
thought
because
about that side of it. Wow.
it's just a natural thing. You
Hmm.
get drawn. It's not only about the review, but it's about the response. Are they real? Do they care? Is it a person? Right? Who are they? And so you can have better better ranking, but lose customers because of the way you engage in that conversation.
Mhm.
I like to tell people there's a conversation taking place between your customers and everyone else who's looking for your service. There's a conversation taking place. And the question is, are you in the conversation? Are you there? Or are you absent? Your choice,
Okay. And what do
right?
you see normally when you're working with companies?
Responses are terrible.
Are
It's a
they okay?
huge opportunity.
Okay.
Huge opportunity.
So bar's pretty low,
Bar is very low,
very low. Okay.
very low,
I'm
right?
thinking the
So it's an up.
agency that I've
Yeah.
worked with a few years ago, they never even said anything that we need to go out and respond. Not one person said anything.
Yeah. Well,
Like, wow.
I know it's true. I mean, we work with a lot of agencies that care, right? They get it.
Hmm.
And and so they like what we do. And so I'll tell you what we do on the response side. So what happens when we onboard a client, we read our AI, right? Reads all the reviews, all the responses, and the website. We read the reviews to understand what do customers talk about. And then
Okay.
we read the responses, which are usually terrible, and the website, which is usually better, to understand how does the business define itself? So, you know, there might be a cabinet installation company and it's a family-owned business and they've been doing it for 46 years and the whole family's involved. And they talk about that on their website and the
Hmm.
pride and the craftsmanship and all of those things. So we take that and we create messages, right? And so that goes into our system. And the business, our customers go in and they refine those, they add some, but we give them 80%. We give them like 80% of what they need. And then they have to go in and do the 20%.
Hmm.
And then what happens is when a review comes in, we look at that review and we look at the theme and we identify these messages that are relevant to that particular review. And we incorporate those messages into the response. So if somebody said the the installation of the cabinets was really amazing, I can't see, any flaws. So there's a fact that talks about the pride and craftsmanship and how they've been doing this. So the response says, wow, we love to hear that. For anyone who doesn't know, we've been in the business 46 years and craftsmanship and
Okay.
quality is central to what we do,
Wow, what a difference.
right? What a difference, right? So, you know, you're engaging, you're teaching, you're helping. That's the difference. And
Wow.
so in for our customers, we want them to get on the page through more reviews, and then we want them to just convert like crazy because they have great responses.
Right.
And that's the secret to growing revenue without spending a ton of money on ads. All the work they've done making people happy gets them the opportunity to get new customers for free, right?
That is so cool. Yeah, what a neat use word marketing concept because that's what it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that other people are not even thinking about. Yeah, we all know you got to get reviews. Get the reviews, get the reviews, get the reviews.
right.
But
So,
it
for example,
stops there.
we do all the normal things: email, text, and then we do interesting things. So, in home services, photos are really important. You do a really nice install for somebody, you can include the photo in the request,
Okay.
right? Like, the days of the minute you generate the invoice, boom, boom, boom on your little system, and then boom, a request goes out. Thank you. Leave us a review.
Hmm.
How many of those do you get? Do you even pay attention to them anymore?
Not very often. I mean, I get them, but I rarely go out. I'm usually busy and you click the button to pay it and you move on and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Conversion on those kinds of requests is very, very low. 1%, 1.5%,
Wow. Yeah.
right? And so people just like that's their lived experience right now, very low conversion rate.
Mhm.
Well, what if your request, so we can use AI in requests too. So if you know things about your customers, are they a repeat customer? Do you have a photo? What was the installer's name? What did you actually do? Those things can create a wonderfully personalized request. Hey, we just wanted to send this out to you on behalf of Jim, you know, after installing or, renovating your bathroom. We enclosed a picture because it's just such a nice thing. We thought you might like to have it. You
Wow.
know, we really value your loyalty and the fact that you've been our customer 3 times. It's so important to get reviews, and we would love the opportunity to get one from you.
Completely
Versus,
different than click
hey,
the box. Yeah.
you know, would you give us a review?
Right.
We
Wow.
do we do QR codes at the employee level. So most people think about QR codes at the business level,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Right.
here's a QR code, and when you scan that code, it opens up for the business. You go to the
A
business's
landing page of
page,
some sort. Right. Yeah.
right? Google, whatever. Okay. What we do is we do it for the employee. So every in a business like a pest control or whoever, when you're out at the customer's location,
Hmm.
their QR code it opens to the Google page, but we record it as coming from Mary, right?
Okay.
And so now you can incentivize people. You can say,
Okay.
Mary had 25 visits over the last, 25 customers over this last week, and
Hmm.
she got scans from 20 of them.
Okay.
Congratulations, Mary, you get
XYZ. Yeah.
bonus or
Yeah.
this or whatever it is, right? Something. So you can get your folks excited. We have a restaurant customer, a little different industry, but I convinced him. So we have a done for you service where we
Mhm.
take a much more active role. And so we have a restaurant group that engaged us, and I've been pushing him to do this, to get the QR codes to the servers.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So all-time reviews as of 2 weeks ago was like 350. So his all-time number of reviews on Google 2 weeks ago, 350. In the last 2 weeks, he got 85.
Whoa.
85.
Because he went to the employee level.
Yeah. He went to the employee level, did a competition, incentivized people, got them excited, 85 reviews,
Wow.
right? And that was like on maybe 120 scans. Think about that conversion rate.
That's
Six,
huge.
60% of those scans converted to a review,
Wow.
right? So these opportunities are there. It didn't cost, we charge 50 cents per QR code per month. It's like nothing, right? It doesn't cost anything. It's free. So, but with that, he got, in that particular location, 85 reviews over the course of 2 weeks.
That's amazing. Now, the question that's rolling in my head is what happens when, if, well, especially in a restaurant, they have a fairly decent turnover. Mary's no longer there. Do those reviews still stay on the site?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
They're
don't
the
lose those.
businesses reviews.
Okay.
The businesses reviews. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I could just hear somebody in my head going, but wait a minute, what happens?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're not used to the anything on the employee level, or rarely
Right.
do you see it on the employee level.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're the ones out in the field. They're the ones visiting the
Yeah.
house. They're the ones installing the sink. I mean, they're the ones who were there.
Yeah.
They take pride in what they do. That review is meaningful to them.
Oh, you bet it is.
right?
Yeah.
And it should be meaningful to the business. And
And I'm going
so,
to run that thread out. You get your employees buying in, they're getting these reviews. What did that just do to the way they handle the future jobs if there's an incentive program out there and they're getting their ego stroked and things like that on these reviews? I would think that your productivity would go up. Mistakes would hopefully decrease because they care, they're bought into this, which plugs a very big couple of big profit leaks out there.
right,
And so now we've
100%.
just added money back to the bottom line, and it sounds like it didn't cost that much to get there.
That's right. That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know people don't think about the power, the leverage that they have over this part of their business. They
No.
view it, I always say, people view it as a task that has to be done.
One more thing to be checked off of the checklist. I did it. I asked for a review. Next, and move on.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a task.
Uh-huh.
And I tell them it's not a task, it's a marketing opportunity,
Hmm.
not a task. I get a lot of that. Big companies come to us and it'll be, someone who's responsible for review responses most of the time in big companies. And what I'll hear is, management decided that they want to respond to every review. Management didn't say, we want to have a quality response to every review. Right? They just said, we want a response to every review. And then I have to educate and I have to say, well, look, if you're comparing us to someone else, the difference is
Hmm.
you can get a quality response to that review with us as opposed to a response.
Right.
And here's why that matters.
Right. Yeah. And I'm gonna say I've never even thought of reviews as being part of your marketing. Yeah, minimally, but not a big part of your marketing project.
Yeah.
Wow.
More people read reviews than visit websites,
Okay.
right? So you got to bring your website to the review, right? If people aren't going to go to the website, you got to bring their website to the review.
Right. And that makes
Right?
so much sense. Yeah. Wow. So no, most of the time when I'm reading reviews, they don't really tell you anything. So it's like, okay, whatever. I got to go find some other information somewhere.
That's right. And so so we have these things, we have facts, right? These messages, and we have these things called pillar messages, kind of a subset of the messages. And so it would be something like if the review is a 4 or 5 star review, then include in the response somewhere. And then there's a whole list of 15 things that you love about your business,
Uh-huh.
right?
Okay.
So even if it's a review with no text, you'll say, it was great to get this 5 star review. We love the fact that we can bring quality craftsmanship to every job, and we've been doing that for 46 years. So even in a review that is just a rating, you can still
Still do, yeah.
provide a marketing message.
Because
Why not?
if you had to do that manually, you'd be sitting there going, I have no idea what to say. And that would just be painful. So then you wouldn't do it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have some people and they're like, well, I don't like exactly the way it's written, but they value the fact that the AI proposed things,
Uh-huh.
right? Here are 3 things that you could put in here, and then they can go in and edit it
Okay.
and put it in their voice. So editing is always easier than creating,
Oh, definitely. So
right?
does this AI get smarter the longer it works with your business?
I would say no.
Okay.
Most people say yes, it learns, but
Right.
but we tried that, and the problem is it can learn the wrong things too,
Definitely. Yes.
right? If you have some crappy responses, it learns that that's a
Yes.
response that you liked, and so it'll start doing crappy responses
Oh,
then.
no.
And then how do you teach the AI something you trained it with?
Right.
So we found that these messages are a more resilient way, right? You're
Okay.
not training the AI engine. but you're participating in the AI creation.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Okay.
it's a slightly different angle,
It is a little different.
but if you all of a sudden decide that you don't like this one message, you turn it off.
Okay.
You just turn it off.
Okay.
You replace it with something else. So if you don't like the way it's written, you change the way it's written. So
Okay.
you train it kind of in that way, but it's
Right.
not a true training in like the AI
Okay.
technical training sense.
Now, earlier you mentioned that you could see what your competitors are doing. How how do you how do the how ugh, I'm not saying this right. How does the business owner actually get insight into it? I get it that AI can go in and read it and things like that, but is there something that's presented to the business owner so they can say, well, yeah, we really don't want that kind of wording in our reviews, or I don't know, something along those lines.
So sorry, I have a little cough. Um, we have a competitor analysis kind of area in our
Okay.
platform. And so one element of competitor analysis is what we talked about. Kind of how are they doing with recent ratings and recent volume?
Okay. Okay.
Then what you can do is you can do voice of the customer. So what we do for every company, every one of our clients, is we develop a set of, KPIs, right?
Okay.
Key performance indicators.
Hmm.
So for a pest control business, it might be, you know, um, any comments on on the effectiveness of the treatment, the professionalism of the technician, the quality of the materials, and whether they're eco-friendly, all of these things that matter in pest control.
Hmm.
We develop a set of KPIs. And then when a review comes in, we read the review and we look at a phrase. And if they say, oh, you know, they told us about our pet in the backyard and we were able to put our pet indoors. So that is about, professionalism and safety. And so it's coded, right? Every
Okay.
phrase and every review is coded against one of these KPIs.
Okay.
And then you get an evaluation of how you're doing. What are the areas where most of the comments are positive? What are the areas where there's a mix? Where are the areas that are more negative? So that you can instantly see what is pleasing customers and what is not,
Okay.
right? So we
Well,
do that.
okay, that's really neat to have that insight into how your competitors are doing because it gives you an area to say, okay, we could step up in this one area potentially and make a big difference.
That's right. So, you're exactly right. You can also do that same analysis for your competitors. And then you can look at it side by side and you
Hmm.
can say, we get really high rate, rankings on professionalism. They, for whatever reason, are having comments about timeliness, whatever it is, people not showing up on time.
Okay.
So then if you can create, a business can create something for their
Yeah.
team that says if you're out selling, they can say, hey, we know that a lot of people make negative comments about, people showing up on time.
Hmm.
Look, it's not us. You can go read the reviews yourself, but that kind of shows up in the reviews.
Hmm.
So it can
Okay.
become, things that you can say in the sales process, be things that you bolster on your website. If
Hmm.
everyone talks about, they, you know, the care that you take, you can then build on that on your website.
Well, I was even thinking the on time, if your competitors have a lot of comments about not being on time, you could make a big deal about that you are on time and have an
Right.
on time guarantee. I don't know, something along those lines, which would really catapult you out in front of your competitors.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. This is good stuff.
Yeah. So the point about this, so we're AI, so we started operations, in 2023. And so it was right when, we did it because ChatGPT came out and
Hmm.
this was kind of meaningful to us. And so we built this. So so there's really a couple of things to think about. One is that even though AI can be inauthentic in your life experience, right?
Hmm.
It can really help you at work.
Oh, yeah.
It can really help you analyze, understand, draft, create. It can do a really nice job if you are engaged in that process as well.
And I think it really shines in those types of processes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That is so cool. I'm kind of looking at some of the other things that we had talked about before we went live here. Um,
yeah.
what are some other tips that you think our home service business owners should know about as they're thinking about their reviews? They're going to all go back now and take a look at their reviews, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the biggest thing I think is for people to understand that reviews are an opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And, my experience in business, kind of running a 220 location business, that as a CEO of a large business, we could get growth in a lot of different ways. We could get growth through acquisition. We could
Mhm.
get growth through ads, paying for things, drawing people to us. But the best growth, the absolute best growth is organic growth,
You
is
bet.
when
Yeah.
your business generates its own growth, right? And the review ecosystem is central to organic growth, right? Those reviews are your salespeople,
They are. Yeah. Your little
right?
invisible salespeople out there
That's
selling on
right.
your behalf. Yeah.
That's right. But
Yeah.
you have to make that happen. You have to get them. You have to encourage them. You have to
Right.
engage with them.
Right.
And I think
Very-
that's, people get into their routine and they get stuck.
They do. Yeah, they're
They
busy. They're
they're
they're just
busy.
running hard all day long. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And to a certain extent, especially in home services, we have a lot of home services clients that are done for you,
Hmm.
our service that where we do it all. And it's not that expensive. It's like $100 a month. It's not, oh my God,
Yeah. I
a
can't afford to
thousand
do this.
dollars, right?
Yeah.
And it makes sense for a lot of people because, like you said, they're busy.
Hmm. And they
It's a
don't have
long
somebody,
day.
yeah, they don't have somebody on their team who can take this on.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And they get home at night, they want to spend time with their family. They don't want to sit there and think, well, I got to send out review requests and I got to figure out how to respond to them. They don't want to do that. But they don't realize it's not just that, right? They're not just sub-optimizing, or saving time on the review response, but they're shortchanging their own organic growth. How
Which
many
is the longer
customers do
term
you
play. Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to pay for that $100,
Minimal. Yeah.
right? You don't need much,
No.
right? So that's really, it's kind of changing that mindset
Hmm.
and trying to get your own good work working for you.
Right.
Yeah,
And we see that an awful lot of the topics that we talk about on this podcast that are profit generating do require a mindset shift. We've always done it this way, doesn't necessarily work. If we can change up our mindset, embrace something new, sometimes we just add a ton of money to that bottom line profit because we were willing to think outside the box and let's give it a try.
right. And a great example of that is that restaurant group that I just told you about. I would drop these hints, I'd say, I think you could be doing better. I think you should try this QR code thing. We ought to talk about it. And well, I do loyalty programs. I do this. I do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but the only reviews you're getting are the negative ones. Your rating's going down. We can
Ooh, you said
respond to
one.
those reviews, but it's not going to drive growth. And finally, he said he got one more bad review. And he's like, I got to get, his impetus was to kind of drown out the bad reviews.
You bet. Yeah, buried the bad
Right?
review. Yeah.
That was the impetus. Now, when I talk to him, he's like, you got any more ideas? Is there anything else we can do? I'm like, yeah, but you got 100, as a restaurant group, you got like 280 reviews last week. You don't need more reviews right
Yeah. You're good for
now.
right now. Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Be consistent. That's the other
Mhm.
thing. We could talk about that for a minute. A lot of times what people do is they'll make a big push
Uh-huh.
and they get 50 reviews in, and then there's nothing, right? No follow-up, no consistency.
Right.
Well, Google looks at that and says, they just got 50 reviews. Who cares?
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, one time, like they went, it's not, doesn't mean anything.
Because
Means a
it
little bit,
wasn't
but
consistency.
it's
Yeah.
not consistent. They
Mhm.
want to see consistency, right? You're not popular for a weekend, right? You're popular or you're not. You're not popular for a weekend. So people don't, there's all these things going on and they don't necessarily optimize.
Right.
So it's just exact. So like I said to this restaurateur, slow down. You don't need 280 a week.
Yeah, that
You
would
were
be
getting,
hard to keep that pace
right,
week
like you're
after week
getting,
after week. Yeah.
you were getting 30 a week. Now you get 280. You don't need that. 100 would be great,
Hmm.
right? You know, get some balance, make it sustainable, but drive to, a goal.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Very cool. Wow. This has been a great topic.
yeah,
Yeah.
people don't always think.
No, no, I never would have thought about how important the consistency and the response is and all those things. Everybody just says you got to get reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Very
yeah.
cool. Well, George, we are coming up to the area in the program where I get to ask you my magic question. So, listeners, listen up because this is a biggie in every single program. So, George, what is a hidden or unique profit leak that you've seen as you've worked with home service businesses?
Well, I think I'll end up repeating myself, but I think,
That's okay.
that leak is not leveraging, you know, the review ecosystem to grow your business organically. It, when we did this at my old company, we could drive businesses that were unprofitable into profitability. We could take businesses that were profitable and make them super profitable.
Wow.
That's what you can do when you really leverage the power. I said it before, the power of all the good work you've done, right? Really leverage all the good work you've done.
Wow, that's a good one. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I will say that is a unique one we've not had on the podcast. So, very good. So, listeners, I hope you were taking notes. If not, we do have show notes and things for you so that you can come back and grab those pieces, listen to it again. We are on all the normal podcast channels, as well as out on YouTube. So, please like and subscribe. Help us grow our numbers as we help you grow your numbers, especially after this podcast. So, thank you, George. How can our listeners get a hold of you, sign up for your program, whatever you have out there for them?
Sure. So we are at rightresponseai.com. So rightresponseai.com. At Right Response AI, there's a free trial. People can request a live meeting like this to talk
Hmm.
about their business. This is
Okay.
all I do. I spend all my time talking to people about their businesses, and I love doing it. And for your listeners, if they go to rightresponseai.com/PHS after your podcast, they'll go to a specific page specifically for you, and we'll have some offers there, some free offers and things like that for your listeners.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. That's very
Yeah,
generous. Thank you. Yeah. Very good. So I'm hoping you're going to get just flooded with people hopping out there and taking advantage of that coupon code. So thank you for sharing your time and your expertise and working with me. as we reach out and help these home service businesses become wildly profitable. That's my goal, wildly profitable, not just barely profitable, but wildly profitable. So,
Good goal.
listeners, thank you for joining us again. If you are wondering where profits leaking out of your business, be sure and grab my top 15 profit leaks report. I think as you go down that list, you're going to grab a few of those and go, ooh, ouch, I think that's where profits leaking out of my business. Once you do that and have read through that report and you want some help, reach out to me. I'm happy to hop on a phone call, a Zoom call, anything like that. We'll be happy to talk about your business and help you identify some profit leaks and potentially even be able to help you plug them because we are all about making you wildly profitable. So, with that, we're going to call this a wrap and we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you so much and God bless your day.